Hey everybody, and welcome back to Duly Projected. I know it's been a while, but I'm back in the seat. I'm ready to go. Got a little bit of a new setup here too. Kind of upgraded my equipment a little bit, so I'm ready for the gauntlet that is the Democratic primaries. So I hope you join me, and also give me feedback on what you think. But this video, we are going to look at the pretenders in the race. And this is a picture of a lot of the Democratic candidates, some that are no longer in the race, some that are still in the race, but gives you an idea. Of course, this year has just been a wide field, and I think I said on a previous video, I thought, the field would probably shrink to half before the first of the primaries, and pretty much has. We're going to take a look here at the New York Times as far as who's still left in the field as it sits today. As you can see, Bennett, Biden, Bloomberg, Buttigieg, Gabbard, Klobuchar, Deval Patrick, Bernie Sanders, Steyer, Elizabeth Warren, and Andrew Yang are the remaining of a vast field. 17 have dropped out, 11 still running. So it's going to be interesting, and I'm looking very forward to how this race develops and what type of result we get from this. Will we get a contested convention? It'll be interesting, but this video we're going to talk about the pretenders, so let's go ahead and get those people out of the way so we can get to the meat and potato of things and talk about contenders. Alright, and let's take a look at our first pretender, and I'm going in order as far as least likely to make even a ripple into the Democratic conversation or the competition as it is for the Democratic primary, to the person that could possibly, if things went in their way and were able to build a war chest and have that momentum that is so everybody is looking to gain momentum from the beginning and that sort of thing. If they catch fire, as you will, they could possibly make a run at the nomination. So that's what we're talking about. So least likely to most likely to possibly make something happen. So least likely candidate as it stands right now is Deval Patrick. And, he used to be the governor of Massachusetts, has heavy ties to Barack Obama, and basically has heavy ties to Barack Obama's staffers and that sort of thing, that has some major pull in DC. So he was an interesting candidate. He's gotten to the race fairly late, though, is one thing I can show you here. Let me pull this over. As you can see, he just came into the race right around in November. You can see everybody else here when they entered the race and that sort of thing. And this is from Wikipedia. I love this 2020 Democratic Party presidential primaries. If you go to the Wikipedia page, tons of information out there. So check that out for sure. Now, if I click on Deval Patrick, we can see here David Axelrod and Valerie Jarrett. Like I was saying, people that were heavily tied to Barack Obama were imploring him to run and that sort of thing. And I kind of think it's a bad idea for him. It's just such a crowded field. Maybe this is just run now to build up your war chest for a future run. Because we can come back here and see 63. He'd be pushing 70 probably next time he could possibly run. I mean, maybe in 4 years he could run and be 67. So that could be a possibility here. So I'm sorry, Deval Patrick, but just no chance, man. You're a pretender. So let's move on to our next pretender. Okay, so for our next pretender would be Mr. Michael Bennett. And he is currently a senator from the great state of Colorado. And he's been on the campaign trail for a while now. I'm kind of surprised he didn't pull out before January, maybe ended in 2019. But he's still in the race, so I'm sure there's some reason. I would hate to guess that his staff, his team would think that he has any possibility of becoming the nominee and that sort of thing. So I'm sure there's some political reason why he's still in the race. Let's take a look here. Let me pull back to when he entered. You can see he entered pretty right around first part or middle part of 2019. And I've seen him on, a few of the debate stages and that sort of thing. Hasn't really, he hasn't stood out to me, I could say. He might be a pretty good senator and that sort of thing. Just not much newsworthiness coming on as far as from his side. This is from Morning Consult. And you can see overall, this is nationwide, 1%. He's got, 1% traction here in the polls over time, just at the very bottom. So, nothing to really sneeze at here. He's a little bit above as far as the favorability of Deval Patrick, but, just nobody's really heard of him. Or 33% of people heard of him, no opinion. 32% have not heard of him. So, he's not at the very bottom of the barrel here as far as pretenders, but, one step below, right where Deval Patrick, a little bit above Deval Patrick in our rank of pretenders. So let's take a look at the next pretender here. All right, and next on our list of pretenders, so far we have Deval Patrick and Michael Bennett, and rounding third here is Amy Klobuchar. And Amy Klobuchar actually has some fairly decent poll support as it stands currently. If you don't know who she is currently a senator from Minnesota. Here's a quick bio from New York Times to get acquainted here. And, she's had some sound bites out there on the debate stage and a few things, but nothing that's like taken attention to all of the mainstream media or anything like that. So I see her currently in the background of the main candidates at this time. So let's take a look here how she's doing in polling. If we go back up here to our Morning Consult poll, 3%. I think she actually is a little bit higher in the current states that will be coming up as far as the first four primaries. I think she's polling a little bit higher than that. Pull up. If we go here, Amy Klobuchar, under 5% as far as nationwide. I did think I saw some polls where she was a little bit higher, maybe between 7 and 10% in the first four, but I don't have those handy right now. So I would expect she may stay in this race until Super Tuesday, but I wouldn't be surprised if she got out before then. So we can take a look here too to see what her war chest looks like. And she's pretty much middle of the pack as far as that goes, 17.5 million. And this is as of, let's see, this is for the whole year of 2019, up until the end of 2019. And cash on hand of 3.6 million. So, yeah, not a very deep war chest there. I really don't expect her to stay in this too long, and I don't see any breakout potential. So I'm going to wrap that up for Amy Klobuchar on the pretender side. And let's take a look at our next pretender here, which will be Tom Steyer. Which I'm sure you're asking me, like, okay, who is Tom Steyer? And he is a former billionaire hedge fund executive climate change activist. So he has actually got a pretty, powerful war chest. If I flip back here to Wikipedia, what we were looking at previously, he has raised 49 million. Let me flip it back. 49 million, which is third behind Pete Buttigieg. And cash on hand of 2.4 million. So obviously, if he's a billionaire, he definitely can get to those funds if he needs it. But his only problem is, who the heck knows him? And if you look here, 38% favorability. So his TV ads are working fairly well because he's put a ton of money into TV ads. And 22 and 24, heard of, no opinion, never heard of. So not too bad as far as that goes. Unfavorable 16%. So yeah, I just don't see him gaining any traction here. I don't see him being able to knock off people who are also, climate conscious and that sort of thing, that are at the top of the pack. So I don't really see anything that differentiates him from anybody else as far as what he can bring and any kind of momentum, any kind of breakout. Just don't see it coming from him. So I'm going to put him next to my list. But the only reason I have them this high as far as pretenders is just his resources. He has a ton of resources. If he can somehow craft a message and get in the spotlight and start pushing those people at the very top of the chain, then he has the resources behind him to do so. But let's take a look at the next person here on my pretender list, if I can get it pulled up. Back to the top here, and that will be Tulsi Gabbard is next up in my pretender list. And it hurts me a little bit to have to say that. I do kind of have been rooting a little bit for Tulsi Gabbard. Just feel like she might be a pretty genuine candidate. I don't agree with her on a lot of her platform. Not a lot of her platform. I agree with some of it, but not all of it, I guess you could say. But as far as a candidate and the genuineness that she brings, I feel a lot of genuineness there. So sad that she hasn't gained traction, but she has had a good amount of time, and she has had some headlines. She's made some headlines with in the debates with Kamala Harris, going at her. That kind of made a lot of people say that Tulsi, derailed her campaign, because you can see in the polls I can bring up of Kamala's slip. She gained so much and then she slips out like a steady dive down. So I don't know if you can give all the credit to Tulsi there, but yeah, it's kind of surprising that she hasn't boosted between the 10 to 15%, or she's been hovering more, around the 5 to 7 or something like that, or even below. And kind of surprising. I do think that her charisma and her way to, be able to speak to voters, her way to kind of connect with people is her biggest asset for sure. So I do believe that she could possibly have some potential in this race, although it's very low chance, low probability that she does break into the contender realm. And I think, she has a lot of time in front of her as far as being a politician. And, whatever she wants to do after this, I think she's set up properly to do so, whether that's, run for governor in Hawaii, or maybe run for a Senate seat for Hawaii, something along those lines, or, in another realm. But I don't think this is going to be her last run for president. I could definitely see some future runs for her. And by then, maybe she has a little, heavier resume as far as things that she's done in her political landscape and that sort of thing. So that is it on Tulsi Gabbard. All right, and for our next pretender would be Michael Bloomberg. I'm sure he would like for me to say contender there. And I have him pretty high up on my list here of pretenders. And this isn't exclusive. Some pretenders could possibly get into the contender realm, but the likelihood is very low, and that's why they are dubbed as pretenders at this time. Michael Bloomberg, though, he's gotten into the race late. I'm sure most of you know who he is. Former mayor of New York City, 77, so he's got some age on him. Like most of the candidates, with the rare exception of a few, have a little bit of age on them. Just wanting to pull this up as far as when he entered the race. Sorry, guys. Alright, so as you can tell, he's entered the race really late here. When you compare it to everybody else. So the good thing for Bloomberg, though, is he has name recognition, which beg that Steyer doesn't really have that well of name recognition. New York City, so from a big city, that helps him, of course. And he's got a good little war chest behind him. Now, he's not in the top tier, as you can see. I don't even think he's on here, actually. Oh, okay. Okay, so we don't know what his war chest is. I'm sorry. I thought I had seen that prior. But currently we don't. But we know that there's obviously some money behind him. And I think he's gotten into the 10 to 11% realm. I've seen that on some polls. Like I said, he's got the name recognition here. If we look here in the polls, yeah, 12% nationally. For him to start so late, he's doing really well, in my opinion. But now, can he contend with the big dogs? Time will tell on that. And I'd like to see how he does in the first four here. And the Iowa Caucus, New Hampshire, South Carolina, and Nevada, I think, are the first four there. So we'll see how he does, if he can gain some traction. And, I just don't know how he differentiates them. Like I said, it's not a knock. I mean, at that age, you have some wisdom, right? But it is a pretty high up in age type of leading pack here. There's no doubt about that. So how does that... I just don't see how you can differentiate when you're at the top and you're, of the same age bracket as your fellow competitors. There's just no differentiating statements there to be made as far as that goes. So it'll be interesting to see how they do kind of pivot and position themselves in the race, though. So that is it. Let's take a look back here. Go back to the New York Times. Let's take a look at our next pretender. And to top off our list of pretenders is Mr. Andrew Yang. So of all the pretenders, he's at the very top. And for me, the reason why is it feels to me like he already has like a cult following, the Yang Gang online and that sort of thing. And I just don't know where he falls in this first four of primaries to begin with. Where does he come in at? He's almost like a wild card at this point, because I don't know if polling's really tracking kind of like how popular he really is. And so I just want to see, and I think obviously his team's, wanting to see what kind of results he gets. So I'm kind of interested too. I haven't looked at to see kind of his name recognition, if he's kind of fallen behind. And it might be just where I just follow this, a little bit closer than the normal person. That's why I know about Andrew Yang and that sort of thing, and kind of what he stands for, and how different his platform and certain aspects are from the field. So yeah, 49% favorable, 13% unfavorable. And yeah, he's got a little bit of making up to do as far as name recognition here. So, that's one thing that I can see from him, though. Let's see, his poll numbers, yeah, right around 5%. And that's the thing, is that true representation of kind of where he's going to be at when these primaries go live. Like, is he really just going to attract 5% of the vote? I don't know. I feel like it could be a lot more than that. And for that reason, I have him as, of all of the pretenders, the one that has the most breakout potential. You know, if things go his way and he starts gaining that momentum early, he has a very good chance. And, you know, once this field starts weeding itself out and it gets smaller and smaller, Yang is going to have the ability to be in debates with 4 and 5 people left over. And he's going to have more airtime. I know early on people just didn't feel like he had enough airtime to really get his ideas out there. I don't know, you know, that's what's so interesting to me is seeing the back and forth, more back and forth with the people at the very top end of the campaign right now, going back and forth with Yang. That's going to be must-see TV, and I really hope that he can stay in the race long enough to see that, because I think it could be very interesting. Now, as far as his war chest right now, when you compare it to everybody else, you know, he's raised about $15 million, and he has about $6.3 million cash on hand. You know, it's not terrible. Obviously, it'd be better if he did have some more in the reserves to go here, but I do think he has the ability to use social media to his benefit. He's in that age bracket of people, you know, he could go below and above there. He has definitely a good multi-way exposure, I guess, as far as like in between the generations there. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm very interested to see how he does here in the first 4. In his timeline, you can see, I think he's pretty much from the beginning. Yeah, even before most candidates started announcing he was out there and going. So what does he do if he does bow out of this race? What does he do? You know, I think he has strong running ability in the future. I don't know if there's any kind of other political office he would want to hold. You know, I do believe, I don't know what state he currently lives in, whether it's California or New York, but I do believe, you know, a governor race, I don't know if he would shy away from that or what he would want to do, but I do believe he could have a political career if that's something he wants to get into. Not at the very high end of politics, but, you know, something statewide or something like senator, that type of thing, or governor, that type of thing. So I'm very eager to see what he does in this race, and definitely be updating where he stands between the contenders and pretenders as once we start getting results in and that sort of thing. So be on the watch out for those videos, and thank you for taking a look at these pretenders. Let me know what you think in the comments there. Anybody I'm being a little too harsh on, anybody that you think has breakout ability, let me know in the comments, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.